Hi, I'm Sheila Gillette, and for the last 44 years I've been the direct voice channel for a collective group of 12 archangels known as THEO.
The THEO group, a group of higher dimensional beings channeled by Sheila Gillette, has a track record that has brought credibility to the subject of channeling.
THEO's been talking about 2012 since the 70s, since before Jose Arguelles in my book, The Fifth Dimension.
Yes.
They brought up 2012 and what would be happening, and that the fifth dimensionary energy is fully in place now on the planet, and what that means for all of us. You know, it's a culmination of an energetic shift that has been going on for several decades.
Right.
And what they speak about is it's the opportunity for all of us to recognize the masters that we are. A whole new way of being is being birthed right now for all of us as a global community, common unity of humankind. What has been occurring is there is a realization of the third dimension, which is your physical reality. The fourth dimensionary energy has been a spiritual awakening, which has been in waves decade after decade in the last 100 years in actuality.
Yes, that would be true.
However, what has been happening of late, there has been a quickening energetically for the fifth dimensionary energy, is that which is the energy that the masters hold, that have been the teachers, that have given prophecies throughout the ages, holding an energetic level of masterhood. And in that energy is the presence now for all human beings to actualize that within themselves. We've all chosen to be incarnate in this time, which is exquisite. And if you could see yourselves as we see you, there would be no discontent.
Can you explain what you see us as?
We see the light being, the divine beings that you are. You are the resonance of God embodied. It's an exquisite time to be alive on this planet, for this grand transformation of consciousness that is at hand. So embrace it, do not resist it. And then watching the evolution now over 4 decades of this awakening that's been going on. People having their own personal experience, as I have had, connecting to their guidance, connecting to God, if you would, not having to go through another to do that, and wanting to be affirmed in their own personal experience of what they're having. Because I know what that's like, not to have somebody to talk to say, this is what's going on, and it's kind of weird and scary and cool all at once. So now that's the purpose of this whole thing. It's not that Esther Hicks can do this. It's not that I can do this. It's that we all can do this. We can all be directly connected to the guidance that is about us. And I've watched that over a long period of time. And there's just these waves of awakening. And as Marcus spoke, you know, the questions have gotten better, more in depth, more, you know, how can I be fully aware? How can I be enlightened? How can I have experience with angels? How can I be present in my own experience, in my own life, and in my relationships? All of these questions have gotten deeper as we've gone on, you know, because as you all know that have experienced THEO, it's not a psychic reading when you get a personal session, you know. People used to confuse that. It's a spiritual teaching. It's a mentorship into your wholeness. So that's the evolution of this whole experience, is if we just put our arms around it and say, let's go, there's no stepping back. And you may recognize THEO and myself by the Abraham Hicks works. THEO was instrumental in inspiring Esther to be the channel for Abraham.
A very beautiful woman. She just, she laid down on at the end of a bed and just breathed quietly for a little bit, and then a very wise and unusual sounding voice addressed us. Well, I was amazed. I did not say a word through the whole, it was, I think, a 30-minute meeting. I didn't say anything. And Jerry had a notebook full of questions that he had saved up since he said he was 6 years old. So Jerry and Theo just had this conversation, and I just sat back in amazement at what I heard, and even more what it felt like. And so we left, and I said, okay, now I want to go back. And so we made another appointment. We went back the next day, and now I had a list of questions. And so a little timer went off, which meant our time was up. And I remember feeling disappointed because I was just beginning to relax and get into this. And the woman who was in the room that was operating the tape recorder, she said, well, do you have one last question? Like, do you want to know who your spiritual guide is? We'd never heard of that. And I said, well, yes. And so Theo said, we are told it will be given to you directly. You'll have a clairaudient experience and you'll know. And I thought that was strange. I mean, I didn't have any reason not to believe Theo, but I had had no experiences that made me think that anything like that would happen to us. And then I asked if we should bring our daughter Tracy, who was 14, to see Theo. And Theo said, well, if she wants, if it is her asking, but it's not necessary, for you too are channels, which seemed bizarre to me, that something that strange could be something unknown to us. So we left that meeting, and I don't remember ever feeling better. It was more of a feeling thing that happened to me than an intellectual thing that happened, because it all happened so fast. And so we left, and I remember we went directly home. I just did what Theo said. I just started focusing on my breathing, as in and out, in and out. And right away, I felt numb. Almost immediately, I could not tell the difference between my foot and my nose. Remarkable feeling. I really liked it. And so the timer went off, really startled us. And so I said, let's do it again. We set the timer again, and again, that wonderful feeling of detachment. And right before the timer went off, for the third 15-minute time, something breathed me. It was like I was a billows, and something was pushing the air in and sucking the air out of me. It was incredible. It was the most remarkable, loving feeling. And then the timer went off, and now my teeth are buzzing, not chattering, buzzing. That energy was so strong. And now we realize now that that was our first interaction with Abraham. We didn't know it then.
If Theo could inspire Esther to channel Abraham, could you imagine what Theo could inspire in you? And due to the incredible response we had to our first webinar, Spiritual and Psychic Exploration with Theo, we're doing another one. Theo talked to us about the fifth dimensionary energy in which we're living in right now, which is an incredible expansion of consciousness, and that we're all opening up to our own psychic and intuitive abilities. Theo led us in a journey to open us up even more, which they will do again. This is a time of grand expansion, and this spiritual and psychic exploration that we're doing with Theo gives us a chance to really ask the questions that we may have about experiences that you may have had, you want clarification on, or maybe more about how to expand further. So this is another opportunity that we'll have great experience with Theo guiding us in a journey once again to expand our own intuitive abilities. And upon registering once again, there will be an offering of 2 great gifts, an MP3 download and an ebook, The 4 Pillars of Spiritual and Psychic Exploration with Theo. So if you haven't downloaded them and gotten them before, do it now, and we'll look forward to seeing you at this free webinar. See you there.